Good evening and welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Tamiru Nimsat. Let's have a look at the headlines. Sri Lanka adopts comprehensive framework to tackle human trafficking. IMF reaffirms support for Sri Lanka after assessing cyclone damage. News in detail. An International Monetary Fund team has wrapped up a week-long fact-finding mission in Colombo assessing the economic impact of Cyclone Ditwa. The IMF has affirmed its solidarity with Sri Lanka and plans to send another mission soon to resume discussions on the country's loan program focusing on safeguarding macroeconomic stability during reconstruction. Led by Mr. Van Papageorgiou, the team engaged with top authorities including the President, Prime Minister, Finance Minister and the Central Bank Governor. Discussions centered on the fiscal response to the disaster, implications for monetary policy and financial sector stability. The IMF stated that Sri Lankan authorities remain committed to protecting the gains made on fiscal and debt sustainability, strengthening public investment management and ensuring transparent spending in line with financial laws. They also emphasized the need to continue bolstering social safety nets to protect the poor and vulnerable who were disproportionately affected. The mission plans to return at the earliest opportunity to resume policy discussions for the next review under Sri Lanka's extended fund facility arrangement.
This is a very beautiful country and huge potential in terms of what it can achieve. That's number one. Number two, I saw the impact of natural disaster. In many parts, I saw flooding. I saw roads being, which need to be repaired. So our sympathies are with you and with the people of Sri Lanka for the lives lost and for the disaster, impact of the disaster. And the third thing, which also talking to people, there's huge appreciation for what the government has done for the people, and notably in the area of governance reform. I think these are three things which I wanted to flag to you, because usually we come to Colombo, we come for meetings. For the first time, I went outside and learned quite a bit. So our heartfelt condolences for the disaster. The program was doing very well. And as you mentioned, this was an unexpected shock.
The government has officially launched a comprehensive 5-year National Strategic Action Plan to monitor and combat human trafficking. The plan, unveiled yesterday in Colombo, establishes a unified national framework for prevention, victim protection, law enforcement and accountability from 2026 to 2030. Prime Minister Harani Amarasuriya, addressing the launch event, reaffirmed the government's commitment to strengthening national efforts against human trafficking. She stressed that the plan must move beyond a symbolic launch into concrete, coordinated and sustained implementation. The action plan operationalizes the 4 internationally recognized pillars of anti-trafficking, prevention, protection, prosecution and partnership. The event was organized by the Ministry of Defense, which chairs the National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force with technical support from the International Organization for Migration. The launch was attended by the Attorney General, senior defense officials, diplomats, UN agencies and civil society organizations.
Human trafficking remains a significant challenge both in Sri Lanka and globally, encompassing forced labor, sexual exploitation, forced begging, organ removal, and forced criminality within countries and across borders. Structural drivers such as economic disparities, labor migration patterns, gaps in social protection, and limited awareness continue to create the conditions where children, women, and migrant workers are vulnerable to trafficking. The number of trafficking survivors has risen sharply since the COVID-19 pandemic, where 25% increase in global detections between 2019 and 2022, and a growing number of child victims, particularly girls, whose proportion rose from 31% to 38% according to the UNODC Global Report on Trafficking of Persons in 2024. So what we are seeing is an increase particularly of the most vulnerable communities globally in this human trafficking.
Prime Minister Dr. Harani Amarasuriya detailed the critical need for a holistic and survivor-centered approach to care for trafficking victims with special attention to women and girls. She outlined the essential components of recovery from immediate safety to long-term economic empowerment.
Caring for trafficking survivors in Sri Lanka requires a holistic, gender sensitive, and survivor centered approach that addresses both immediate protection and long term recovery, including integration back into their communities, their families, and ensuring that their economic livelihoods also are strengthened. This includes many required interventions, including safe shelter, medical care, trauma-informed psychological support, and particular attention to women and girls who experience more severe and gendered forms of violence, alongside legal assistance, economic empowerment, and skills development to prevent re-trafficking. These strategies form a core part of the country's National Action Plan on combating human trafficking, ensuring that survivors receive continuous, comprehensive support for sustainable reintegration and empowerment. Collectively, these measures ensure that Sri Lanka prioritizes the dignity, rights, and empowerment of survivors in its response.
Stay tuned. We will return after the short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. The Finance, Planning and Economic Development Ministry issued a new circular expanding relief measures for micro, small and self-employed businesses affected by the emergency situation caused by Cyclone Ditwa. Under the revised framework, one-time grants will be provided to restore affected businesses to a condition suitable for reopening. The circular has been issued in line with Budget Circular number 8 of 2025, introduced on the 5th of December last year to restore livelihoods disrupted by the disaster. The new circulars has been linked with additional circulars issued on the 20th and December last year and the 22nd of this month to strengthen delivery and coverage of assistance under the government's Community Empowerment Program. Accordingly, individuals, small and micro businesses registered with the Ministry of Industry or with divisional secretariats as business entities will be eligible for grants of 200,000 rupees. Unregistered home-based businesses operating from permanent structures and unregistered production industries, including greenhouses, will receive 50,000 rupees per unit, while temporary business setups such as mobile and street hawking operations will also be eligible for an amount of 25,000 rupees. Separate assistance has been introduced for owners of commercial buildings damaged by the disaster. Building owners who opt to receive assistance without a damage assessment will be eligible for a grant of 500,000 rupees, while those who undergo a damage assessment may receive grants of up to 5 million rupees based on the assessed value of the premises. In addition to direct grants, the Treasury has also introduced new concessionary credit facilities through the banking system to support the business recoveries up to 25 million rupees. That will be available on an interest rate of 3% with a 6-month grace period and repayment over 3 years. The Lanka Coal Company has imposed a fine of approximately $2.1 million on a company responsible for supplying a substandard shipment of coal. General Manager of the Lanka Coal Company, Namal Hivagi, revealed the penalty during a media briefing yesterday, addressing the controversial coal import issue.
මේකෙදී දඩමුදල කියන එක නියම කරලා තියෙන්නේ 2010 ඉඳලා 2015 වෙනකන් එනකොට ගල්අඟුරු වලදී ඇති වුණ ප්‍රශ්න සහ ඒ ලබාගත් අත්දැකීම් අනුව තමයි මේ මගින් මොනවා හරි පරිසර හානියක් හරි එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කියමු මේකේ පාඩුවක් වෙනවා නම් අන්න ඒ සියල්ල සලකා බලලා තමයි දඩමුදල තීරණය කරලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට අපි මං හිතන්නේ ගහපු පළවෙනි නැවට 2.1 මිලියන් ඩොලර්ස් ගාලා තිනවා. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් නැවක වටිනාකම 6 මිලියන් විතර වගේ. එතකොට අපි ඒකෙන් ලොකු ප්‍රමාණයක දඩමුදලක් ඒ කියන්නේ කවුරු හරි අතින් වරදක් වුණත් ආයේ ඒ වගේ වරදක් කරන්න හිතන්නේ නැති විදිහේ දඩමුදලක් අපි ආයෙ කරලා තිනවා. මම හිතන්නේ ඕනම පාඩුවක් දරා ගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට මේ ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් මොනවා හරි ලොස් එකක් තියෙනවනේ ඒක දරා ගන්න පුළුවන් විදිහේ දඩමුදලක් තමයි.
මේකෙන් රජයට පාඩුවක් නැති
පාඩුවක්
බවද
නැහැ. ඔව්.
The Ministry of Plantations has entered a strategic partnership with International Finance Corporation and the Australian government to accelerate growth in Sri Lanka's vital coconut export sector. A cooperation agreement was signed yesterday, aiming to enhance the industry's global competitiveness through technical assistance and value chain development. The partnership will provide targeted support to improve productivity, integrate sustainable agricultural practices, and implement gender-inclusive training programs. Special attention will be paid to expanding coconut cultivation in the northern province. The International Finance Corporation will work closely with key industry bodies, including the Coconut Research Institute, the Coconut Cultivation Board, and the Coconut Development Authority. The coconut industry earned over $1,233 million in export income last year and is a cornerstone of the agricultural economy, providing critical rural employment and foreign exchange. The collaboration aims to ensure the sector can meet growing international demand while securing a sustainable future for local farmers and producers. The signing was attended by the Australian Deputy High Commissioner, the World Bank Group Country Manager, and senior officials from the Plantation Ministry and industry institutions. Stay tuned for stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on negative notes today. The old share price index dropped by 91.22 points to close at 23,900.89. The S&P SL20 dropped by 14.55 points to close at 6,655.66. The turnover was over 6.9 billion rupees and over 277 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all our news for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Take care and good night.